is a spectacular weather night in downtown Cincinnati, and on this April Monday night, we remember the late great Jackie Robinson. On April the 15th, 1947, Robinson broke the baseball color line, starting as a first baseman for the Brooklyn Dodgers. One of the great days in baseball history, and for that matter, in American history. And look who's back in the TV booth for the first time this year. Say hello to the Cowboy, Jeff Brantley. And Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Delighted to have you with us on this Monday night. Cowboy, you were saying to me a little while ago that you've been very impressed with three guys in particular in this Reds lineup and the way they're swinging the bats through the first 2 weeks of this season.
Well, Tom, you hear so much about let's make an adjustment. Why can't this guy change and hit the ball the other way? Why can't they change their swing? Well, all three of these guys that we're about to talk about have done that, not only during the offseason, but they have continued to do it throughout this season. Zach Cozart hitting really in an unfamiliar spot, in the #1 spot, and he has come out gangbusters. He's hit in every ball game that he's been in. Not only pulling the ball with some power, he's got 5 doubles so far, but he's hit the ball the other way as well. Now, Jay Bruce, everybody's talked about him for years. Why can't he hit the ball the other way? Can he not do it? Well, yes, he can. All about getting the technical specs of his swing, the flat bat, and being confident with it, and then taking it into the season. Duvall, youngster, came up with a lot of power, hit a lot of home runs, but he also had a lot of strikeouts. Right now, those things have changed. He is staying inside the ball and making a lot of contact.
We'll see if that can continue tonight. Whenever you think of the Colorado Rockies, the first thing you think of, offense. And you really break it down to 3 guys. The first week of the season, the biggest story in all of baseball, the rookie Trevor Story.
7 home runs in his first 6 ball games. Now, he has cooled off since then. But when you start your season and you hit 2 home runs off Zach Greinke, the whole nation notices. And then you're playing in Colorado, ball carries, everybody's talking about him. Now, the guy that everyone talks about year in and year out is this guy. Not just the offense, but the defense, and the fact that he is the leader on this ball club. Very aggressive, started out a little bit slow, but boy, has he picked it up lately.
And the guy that has always killed the Reds, maybe their most talented player, is Carlos Gonzalez.
You look at Gonzalez and you see what he's done in this ballpark. It seems like every time he's here, he's hitting multi-homer games. That'll be one thing that the Reds will have to stop in this series.
All right, well, there's been a change in the Reds rotation. Jim Day will have that story when we come back. They're trying to patch it through while they're waiting on guys like Bailey and DeSclafani. JD standing by. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
More like summer than spring. Temperatures fall through the 70s. At the beginning of the game, we should be still close to 80, 71 by the 7th inning. Mostly clear skies, and we'll fall into the upper 60s by the end. Let's go Reds.
I'm Jim Day on the field. When the Reds picked up Dan Straley off of waivers, Brian Price said, "We hope he's the 2016 version of Alfredo Simon a few years back." Well, the Reds have made a switcheroo in the rotation. It won't be Tim Melville going to the hill tonight. It will indeed be Dan Straley, the right-hander, who's pitched for a couple of different clubs and has had some uphill battles in his career with people basically telling him, you know, you can't make it at the highest level, and he has proved them all wrong. He will make his 46th career start, but the first since August of last year. And here's your pitching matchup tonight. It's righty versus righty. Jordan Lyles, in 2 starts this season, he's looking for better success. And Dan Straley, who's been solid out of the Reds pen, now all eyes on him as he will throw the first pitch in this game, and we hope the first of many. Home sweet home. It was a tough roadie, but the Reds are back at GABP. Up next, Tom and the Cowboy on Fox Sports Ohio.
Ohio, brought to you by Chevy. Check out their award-winning lineup only at your tri-state Chevy dealer. By Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili, feeling good. It's Skyline time. And it's 27-year-old right-hander Dan Straley time here at the ballpark tonight. Coming out to make his first start as a Cincinnati Red. After 3 games pitching out of the Reds bullpen. Here's a lineup under manager Walt Weiss. He'll be facing Parra in left, Trevor Story the shortstop, Carlos Gonzalez in right, Nolan Arenado down at third, Paulson at first, and Barnes in center. Adames is the second baseman, Walters catching, Jordan Lyles on the mound. What have you liked about Dan Straley, Cowboys? Throwing the ball quite well for this team out of the bullpen.
You know, the games that he's pitched in, Tom, they've been difficult ball games, but the thing that he's done is he's handled the situation well. He's kept the team close when he's come into the ball game, even though they've only been 3-inning stints, but he's only allowed 3 hits in the 8 innings that he's pitched thus far.
And opponents are only batting 107 against Straley. If he throws strikes, he has walked 4 in 8 1/3 innings. Prior to this year, 45 of his 52 career appearances in the major leagues have come as a starter. So he's not certainly you know, overly nervous tonight, like he's not been there before. His first pitch is swung on and fouled out of play by Parra, strike one. And we are underway at Great American Ballpark. See the career numbers for Straley. And this should be out number one on a fly ball at Adam Duvall. One away. Take a look at the Reds on defense tonight, presented by Ford. Billy Hamilton back in the lineup in center field, flanked by Duvall and Jay Bruce, and the former Rocky Jordan Pacheco getting a start at third base.
And a couple of times during this road trip where they used him off the bench, came up with some big hits.
For Straley, finally, one would imagine, starting to get his feet underneath him a little bit after a whirlwind final week of spring training as a rookie shortstop out of LSU, Trevor Story, looks at a strike. Began spring training with the Astros, did Straley. On the 28th of March, was traded to San Diego. And once he got to the Padres camp, leaving Florida and going all the way to Arizona, they let him go. And the Reds claimed him off waivers, where he flew all the way to Indianapolis for that final exhibition game, pitched a bullpen session for the Reds, and has been with them ever since.
And I think that's part of the reason that you've seen some of the walk numbers a little higher for Straley than normal. It's just a lack of work at this point.
1 ball and 2 strikes on Story. Of course, he was the story in all of baseball that opening week, the National League's Player of the Week, joining only the former Dodger great Fernando Valenzuela to be named a National League Player of the Week the first week he had ever been in the big leagues. First 8 games, 7 home runs, 2 triples, and right into the shift. They had him play perfectly, and Phillips shows off a strong arm. 2 away in the inning. Here's a guy, as Cowboy mentioned a moment ago, that has always just worn out the Reds whenever the two teams get together, and that's Carlos Gonzalez.
7 home runs in 21 career games at this ballpark.
And overall, in 135 at bats in his career against the Reds, has 12 home runs and driven in 30. An enormously talented player. Among the most God-given talented players in all of baseball. The problem for him has been getting on the field and staying on the field with all the injuries through the years. But last year, played in 153 games, hit 40 home runs, and knocked in nearly 100 runs. A diving stab by Pacheco at third, and that'll end the inning. Hard hit ball, but it's a 1-2-3 start for Dan Straley, the red hot Zach Cozart. He's done a lot of damage against Colorado in his career. He'll lead it off when we return. His starting lineup reads as follows. Zach Cozart to be followed by Pacheco at third, then Joey Votto at first base. Brandon Phillips in the cleanup spot. Jay Bruce in right, Adam Duvall in left, Tucker Barnhart. Pitcher in the 8-hole, Billy Hamilton bats ninth. Jordan Lyles, we've seen him going all the way back to his days in Houston. And on the very first pitch, he will retire Cozart on a pop-up into foul ground. Lyles has had a horrific start to this season. 2 starts, 1 loss, 8 innings, 13 hits, 10 earned runs. Walk 5, fan 5.
You look at his first couple of innings of both of those starts, first 3 innings really, threw the ball well. You would think, oh man, here we go. All of a sudden the Rockies get a lead and he folds up.
Jordan Pacheco, 3 hits in his first 12 at-bats as a Red with a couple of doubles. His Colorado team comes in playing very, very well. Like the Reds, they have played 4 series. Like the Reds, they have played 1 team that is not highly thought of. Reds played the Phillies. Colorado played San Diego. The other 3 teams the Reds have played, all playoff teams last year. All 3 teams the Rockies have played outside of San Diego are 3 teams a lot of people believe will be in the playoffs. They have played the Cubs. They just beat them over the weekend 2 out of 3. They beat the Giants 2 out of 3. And they started the year by roughing up Zach Greinke and the Diamondbacks, winning 2 of 3.
But I think if you look back with the Rockies over the last few years, especially last year, great April record, and then things just went south.
Well, really, that has been their MO, as you mentioned, Cowboy, really going all the way back to the 2011 season. I mean, consider this. The only National League team with a better record in the month of April is the St. Louis Cardinals. Among all National League teams, Colorado the 2nd best record in all the National League, spanning the last 5 Aprils.
I think that tells you how important it is to have a bullpen that can close down a game. Because when you start your season, everyone is on a high. All of a sudden you get those leads late in the game and your bullpen can't hold it. It just takes the momentum out of your sails.
Pacheco, a 3-time winner of the Gold Glove at third base, throws out Pacheco. Storyline, can they sustain success this year, Cowboy? They've had losing records each of the last 5 years. They finished in the NL West basement 3 of those 5. They made some nice changes down in that bullpen.
Well, as of right now, those changes have not worked well at all.
No.
They have given up 35 runs in 40 innings to begin this season, and well, that ain't real good.
Boy, how about this? A 7-pitch inning for Jordan Lyles as Votto pops up, and the Reds gone in order. We're up and running to inning number 2 of a scoreless game. offensively, and then last year, bang, 130 runs batted in, clubbing 42 home runs. What a year. The 42 home runs, which tied for most in the National League, and the 130 runs batted in, the most by a Colorado Rocky since 2007. And he set a major league record with 89 extra base hits from a third baseman. And think about all the sluggers that have played third through the history of this game.
And you can taint that all you want about saying, well, this guy plays in Colorado. You drive in 130 runs, you're driving in some that are not in Colorado.
Well, he hit nearly half of his home runs on the road, and normally that is not what you see from a Rockies player. I mean, there you get a look. Those are the first 2 years, and then last year.
Everyone that's around this guy tells you he is a flat-out gamer.
He had 2 home runs in the win over the Cubs yesterday and hooks this one into left field. Pitch, and he is aboard the second inning.
It's like he got a hanging breaking ball. He swung and missed at the first one. This one didn't quite have the downward depth as the previous pitch, and he stayed right on it and shoots it right into left field. Arenado's one of those guys. He takes as much pride in his defense and his leadership of the ball club as he does in those 130 RBIs and 40 home runs.
Left-handed batting first baseman is Ben Paulson. Played collegiately at Clemson University and a third-round pick of the Rockies in 2009. Really got his first full taste of the big leagues last year. Played in 116 games and right around 350 at bats. He put up some pretty good numbers. 34 extra base hits, drove in 49 runs.
He definitely hits right-handers well. They've got Mark Reynolds on that roster as well. The left-handers usually neutralize him a bit.
Jim Wolf calls the balls and strikes tonight. Adrian Johnson at first. The crew chief is Gary Cederstrom out at second, and Eric Cooper is the umpire at third. 3-0 the count on Ben Paulson. Well, you couldn't ask for a better night for baseball. The last 7 days here in Cincinnati are just about as good as it gets. Temperatures ranging from 70 to today up to 84 degrees. That one hit down the left field line, slicing out of play. And expecting more of the same tomorrow night along with Wednesday. So we have a night game here tomorrow. 12:35 game on Wednesday before the Cubbies roll in for a 4-game series starting Thursday night. Tickets are available. We'd love to have you come down to the ballpark.
I don't know that it can get much more comfortable than what it is right now.
Well, will they start Arenado? Yes, they do. And it's ball 4 and the first 2 aboard here in the Colorado second against Straley. A single and now a walk.
You see those numbers there, and that is not conducive to winning ball games. A lot of those have come out of the bullpen, but they've come out of the rotation as well.
Of course, it was a walk yesterday to lead off the 8th inning, and that walk would come around to score what proved to be not only the go-ahead run but the winning run, and that 1-run Cardinal victory to take 2 of 3 over the weekend. Bunted foul off the bat of Brandon Barnes, strike 1.
The problem that the walks bring, Tom, are not only increasing the chances that the opponent is going to score off of you by putting guys on with free passes, but it kills your defense. It puts your defensive players on their heels, especially if it's 2-0, 3-1, all of a sudden ball 4, 3 or 4 batters in an inning. That makes it tough on your defensive players to keep their games ready.
Bunted perfectly this time, and Straley will take the out right in front of him. Give Barnes a sacrifice, sending Arenado down to third, and advancing Paulson up to second.
I don't know that that's something that you see when you're in Colorado. Bunting like that. Normally this club is just a slugging ball club. But it appears that Walt Weiss wants to try to get on the board early.
Christian Adames getting the nod at second base today, replacing their regular, getting a day off, DJ LeMahieu. 1 of 13 to begin this season for Adames. Fastball up and in.
Adames and Trevor Story were really competing for that shortstop spot with Reyes out. And Adames had a pretty good spring. Good enough to make a ball club, but Trevor Story was just off the charts.
Adames, like Story, is a youngster. He signed at 16 years old out of the Dominican Republic, so he's only 24. Pull the string on him a little bit right there. 1 ball and 1 strike. Tony Walters, their catcher, number 8 hitter, waits in the on-deck circle. Runners at second and third, 1 out. Scoreless game. Colorado batting in the second inning. 1 ball, 1 strike on Adames. To the shortstop, this will bring in a run. 1-0 Colorado.
And that's not bad pitching there from Dan Straley. You're just trying to get a ground ball. Once you get guys in a position that the Rockies had at second and third with 1 out, you're trying to reduce the damage as much as possible. And there are a lot of young pitchers that would say, well, I've got to get a strikeout here no matter what. And all of a sudden you walk the bases loaded, and then it's Hammer City.
Walters 5 hits in his first 14 at bats with a run batted in. Surprisingly for a catcher, he already has 3 stolen bases, so you know he can run at least a little bit. Good breaking ball in there, strike 1.
Well, Walters came up as a shortstop in the Indians organization, and immediately they switched him to a catcher behind the plate.
Originally drafted in the 3rd round in 2010 by the Tribe. A native of San Diego. Walters never had the chance to play in the big leagues with Cleveland. Played in Akron in each of the last 2 years. That one pulled foul. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Reds have gotten to see him a lot in spring training. They should be familiar with him.
And in fairness to Walters, a big reason why he probably never got a chance to come up with Cleveland, because his first couple of years he put up some pretty decent numbers. But he's been limited due to injuries the last 2 years. Played in a little more than 90 games 2 years ago. 65 last season.
There's not too many catchers going to outplay Yan Gomes.
No. 1 ball and 2 strikes. And again, a good breaking ball, and defensively swinging and making contact but fouling it away is Walters. The runner at third is Paulson. He walked in this inning, and that's turned out to be a big walk after the leadoff single. Votto will wave off his pitcher, and that's all. Colorado a run, a hit, a man left. Phillips, Bruce Duvall coming up. Reds down a run. Colorado on defense. Hara in his first season as a Rocky, joining Barnes and Gonzalez left, center, and right. Arenado, Story, Adames, and Paulson along the infield. Walters and Lyles a battery. Lyles got through that first inning, retiring Cozart and Votto on the first pitches of their respective at bats. And swinging early and often has been a part of the Red storyline so far this year.
Very aggressive, especially early in the count. If you have a guy that's coming after you throwing strikes, it's a good way to go at it, but you got to get a pitch that you can handle.
Brandon Phillips has done as much of that as anybody on this Reds team so far, and he looks at ball 1 to start this second inning with his team behind 1-0. Take a look at that. Major league averages 46% of the time. Swinging at the number of pitches you see in all your at-bats collectively. Phillips is almost at 70%, and that is the highest swing rate in all of Major League Baseball through the first 2 weeks of the year. So in that strike zone, he is swinging. And you see the results so far this year. It's in the air to right, playable for Cargo, they call it. Carlos Gonzalez, and that's 4 in a row set down by Jordan Lyles. '29-year-old two-time All-Star Jay Bruce over the weekend clubbed his 211th career home run. And that moves him into 7th place all alone On the Reds all-time home run list, he had been tied at 210 with Ken Griffey Jr. He's got a ways to go to get number 6. That would be George Foster with 244 of them. A ball and a strike on Jay Bruce. It's a mighty impressive list right there. Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer, Hall of Famer. Got an MVP mixed in there. A couple of them.
He's not too far away from Adam Dunn for most home runs in this ballpark.
Got a good rip right there. 2-2. Well, there was all the talk, and look, Jay Bruce handled it like a champ, as he normally handles everything. I mean, he's just a great kid. There's no way around it. You know, he'd be the first to admit. I mean, he might make you or me crazy. He makes himself crazy with so many of the ups and downs over the course of a year or a career. There's strike 3 that he disagreed with, but he has always been a stand-up guy. Always.
I didn't think that one quite got back to the inside corner. Starts it in there, and Jay thought it was a ball. And our strike zone says it's a ball. But we don't count.
No. The judge, juror, and executioner in this case is Jim Wolf. And his opinion is the only one that counts. 18 pitches through the first 2 innings for Jordan Lyles. We go to the 3rd, his team with a 1-0 lead.
Always play with a little flair for the Buckeyes and a little spin move to go out and throw the ceremonial first pitch tonight. That would be Braxton Miller. Threw it out to Brandon Phillips tonight. And Braxton Miller, I am joined by here in the stands. We've got his little one next to him. How we doing?
Doing all right. Checking out some good old baseball right now.
What's your little one's name?
Landon.
All right, he's he's got some pizza. He's rocking. He wants to grab the mic right here. You might have future broadcaster right here. But you, a Dayton area kid, grew up a Reds fan, right?
Yeah, I did, man. I remember the first time I came out here, I was at Baseball Diamond Skills. Yeah. I was like 10, 11 years old. That was the last time I did baseball at all. So
Well, you're sporting a sweet Reds lid, by the way. That's very nice right there.
Came here.
What's that?
Had to go to the shopping center before I came here.
Well, earlier today, ladies and gentlemen, he was wearing a Pete Rose jersey, and it was signed by the Hit King, was it not?
Oh, yeah. Right here.
Oh, here we go. He's going to show it to us.
My man right here, Pete Rose. Right here. Classic, man. Classic. Had to bring it out.
All right, throwing that ceremonial first pitch, I didn't know if you were going to go to the top of the hill or not. Now, you've played in front of 100,000 people and played in big games. That was no problem, right?
No problem at all. You know, I'm used to it, so I enjoy times like this.
All right, tell me about what's upcoming. There's been a lot of buzz about you in the offseason about how well you performed at the Senior Bowl practices. Your pro day, you ran a very fast time. You hearing maybe a second-round draft pick?
Oh, no, man, we're going to shoot for the highest, you know, first round to early second. So, you know, always shoot for the best.
What would it be like to hear the Cincinnati Bengals call your name?
Man, any team like that call my name, man, I'd be more than happy, you know, to join the squad and come in early and put an impact on the team.
How special is it to go around the Buckeye State? Everyone loves the Buckeye football, and you certainly had a tremendous career. There were ups and downs with injuries, but you've got to be satisfied with what you guys accomplished.
Oh, yeah, absolutely, man. I'm leaving on good terms. So, you know, I adjusted from my injury, and, you know, I had to switch my position because I couldn't throw 45, 50 yards. So it worked out pretty good, man.
Well, you've got one large fan upstairs. His name is Tom Brenneman. He's calling tonight's game, and I know he's rooting like crazy for you in the NFL.
Oh, yeah. You know, I love it. You know, just got to remain humble, make sure I'm working on my craft, and, you know, just enjoy the process.
Well, we appreciate it. Thanks for joining us. So glad you're a Reds fan. Good luck in the NFL.
And thank you for taking this time and talking to me right now.
You got it. Braxton Miller, top shelf, boys, and one of the most elusive players you will ever see. He's going to be a star in the league.
You know, it's just an incredible story, really, his entire story. One of the most highly recruited high school football players in the country up at Huber Heights, Wayne, just outside of Dayton, Ohio. Comes into Ohio State, becomes a starter as a freshman. Two-time Big Ten Offensive Player of the Year, finished in the Heisman Trophy, top 10 twice, fifth one year. Injures his shoulder. And rather than leaving the school, he gets his degree in 3.5 years. Graduated. Was granted a medical red shirt. Changes positions the next year. It's just incredible. Line drive, and leaping too soon is Billy Hamilton. It looked like that ball normally will be hauled in by Hamilton, a Gold Glove caliber center fielder, and may have just mistimed his jump a little bit. Scored a double. From your Cowboy, it looked like he jumped early.
Yeah, it did, but when you look at the replay, you realize how hard the ball was hit. And let's face it, if Hamilton can't get to it, it can't be gotten to.
You're right. All right, so Story with a double, and here comes Gonzalez, who lined out hard at Pacheco his first time up. Anyway, tying a ribbon around that whole story. We wish Braxton Miller nothing but the best. Every step of the way, he has handled himself on and off the field like a champion.
Really classy guy.
Yep. First for Jim Tressel and later Urban Meyer. Oh, and 1 on Carlos Gonzalez. Boy, speaking of the Buckeyes, they broke their own record over the weekend. Almost 101,000 people at the Horseshoe in Columbus for a practice. A spring game, they call it. A practice game. 101,000 people. Fastball inside, 1 ball and 1 strike on Gonzalez.
How many people does that place hold?
Right at that number. It's actually dropping this year because they made some changes in the stadium. Swing and a miss.
Good changeup right there. Can you imagine 18 years old rolling out for a spring game, and there's 101 grand sitting in the seats?
No.
Oh.
One ball and 2 strikes. A count on Gonzalez. Runner at second, 2 out. And a ground ball to Brandon Phillips. From short right field, the inning is over. Good work by Straley. A 2-out double stranded. Reds coming up. Down a run.
Now stream Reds games live on your mobile device. Just go to your app store and download the free Fox Sports Go app. Log in and stream the Reds wherever you go.
All right, Reds in search of their first base runner. 6 up, 6 down for Jordan Lyle. So the latter third naturally in the Reds batting order to be Barnhart, Straley, and then Billy Hamilton. Colorado scored in the second inning. And a sinking liner, and Tucker Barnhart continues his hot hitting ways. That's 6 hits for Tucker in his first 17 at bats. It's off to a nice start.
Now we talked about guys making different changes in their swings. We mentioned Bruce, Cozart, and Duvall. Tucker Barnhart would fill that same category.
Naturally, Straley going to be asked to bunt, and believe it or not, Straley has already made 2 plate appearances this year, 0 for 1, but he successfully executed a sacrifice in his other.
He's got an understanding of what he needs to do. Bunt the ball at Ben Paulson. Drop the bat head there. You're always trying to keep that bat head above your hands as you bunt the baseball. That way you can bunt the top of the baseball and keep it fair. If you dip the bat head at all, that's what's going to happen. The ball is going to foul off to the right, or you're going to pop it up.
Well, he'll try it again with 2 strikes.
For a lot of pitchers, the best thing to do, and really if you're bunting at all, get all the way up in the front of the box. There's no reason to be in the back of the box if you're bunting, because if you bunt it and you don't get it just right, there's a greater chance of it going foul. If you get all the way in the front of the box, as you see where Straley is right before the pitch comes, he's going to move up. That way you've got a greater chance of getting the ball into fair territory.
Pretty good eye up there by Straley after falling behind 0-2. He has not attempted to bunt any of the next 3 pitches. Well, the Rockies still very much believing he's going to bunt. 3-2 the count. He already shortens up. That's a foul ball and he's out on strikes. MLB.TV Premium is the #1 live streaming sports service. Delivers everything you've come to expect and more. Visit MLB.TV for details. 1 out, 1 on, and here comes the #9 hitter, Billy Hamilton. 5 hits in his first 27 at bats, 3 doubles, a home run, 2 knocked in. Billy did not start the final 2 games over the weekend in St. Louis.
And I don't know that I've seen that, and I could be wrong, but I don't know that I've seen where Hamilton has been held out of the lineup in back-to-back ball games without an injury being an issue.
Well, the Reds keep hoping and wishing and praying that Hamilton can start to find a way to get more consistent offensively, and certainly find a way by hook or by crook to get on base with more frequency, to utilize that blinding speed. Excellent career numbers against Colorado. Of course, with the unbalanced schedule, you only play teams out of your division. A pair of series can vary whether it's 6 or 7 games sometimes. They put the hit and run on and the throw will go to first. So Barnhart into scoring position. Hamilton thrown out. 2 away, tying run out there at second, and here comes Cozart, who fouled out the first pitch of his at bat to the third baseman.
Well, this has normally been where Cozart has hurt Jordan Lowndes. RBI situation. 8 RBIs and 11 at bats. Now, he did pop out his first time up.
Well, if you're thinking about outfield arms, I can't tell you anything about Barnes. We have not seen him much, but the corner outfielders are both excellent defenders with excellent throwing arms. Parra's won a Gold Glove in left and is always ranked among the league leaders in throwing out would-be base runners. Doesn't matter. Bouncer to the shortstop, Story. Reds strand a runner at second. They get their first hit and trail 1-0 at the end of 3. Fans this coming Saturday receive a Vodomatic Super bobblehead. For tickets to see the Reds and the Cubs for as low as $12, jump on the horn right now, as Cowboy likes to say. 381-REDS. That's right now. Or visit Reds.com. Isn't that it?
That's it. Right now. That means right now. No waiting.
See, Cowboy, we've had a lot of people as Cincinnati continues to grow after some years where we weren't growing, and now we're growing more and more and more again. They're new fans to the area, and they've certainly heard you on the radio, but for those that prefer the television, literally by the hundreds of thousands, if not millions. Some of, you know, the words you like to use, the terms you like to use, we like to get to them right from the beginning.
A little bit of Southern dialect.
That's exactly right.
They might need a Southern dictionary.
Pulled down the line, and it hooks foul, and a good thing off the bat of Arenado in a pair of home runs in a 2-0 victory over the Cubbies yesterday. This Colorado pitching staff, boy, what a number they did on the Cubs. And of course that came on the heels of having a hard time getting anybody out when the Reds were in there. I mean, that Cub lineup looked like it was completely unstoppable. Here's strike 3 called to Arenado. Second strikeout of the night for Dan Straley. He did not like that call.
Fox Tracks, check it out. That's right on the money. That is a pitcher's pitch. You catch not only the bottom of the strike zone, but the outside edge as well. That's money. Nobody wants to swing at that.
Paulson walked his first time up. Looks at strike 1 here. Colorado a year ago, 68 wins, 94 losses. But they feel like they're in a better place here in 2016. May remember last July they traded away the very face of their franchise in shortstop Troy Tulowitzki, sending him to Toronto. He was owed over $100 million on the length of his contract. Now they took on an aging Jose Reyes, who's still owed $50 million, but you're still saving $50 million. But they also acquired 3 young pitchers they're very, very excited about. Jeff Hoffman, Miguel Castro, and Jesus Tinoco.
I know that Hoffman is not far away. Neither is John Gray. Gray may start against the Dodgers coming up here shortly. Both of them very hard throwers.
Castro's already pitching out of their bullpen.
And Tinoco, that may be where his ultimate destination comes to as well.
Pitching is always an issue. Pitching at mile-high altitude. A major league worst 5.27 earned run average. In fact, that was his second highest number in the last 10 years. I mean, it was ugly in the rotation, and as you mentioned earlier, Cowboy, even uglier in the bullpen.
There are some things about Colorado that you're not going to change regardless of how good a pitcher you are.
Strike 3 called. Second Rocky in a row called out on strikes, and a second in a row that turns around and has something to say to Jim Wolf.
Well, this ball just flat fooled Paulson. Change up, and that's a strike all day, every day. When you're pitching in Colorado, Tom, regardless of what your stuff is, how hard you throw, there are going to be days where you're going to have an off day, and you are going to have to be awfully tough mentally. That team down there is going to score some runs in their home ballpark. And if you're a starting pitcher or a guy in the bullpen, you've got to come out and concentrate on keeping your team in the game and not letting the game just absolutely explode for the opponents. But you remember when Pedro Estacio pitched there,
words right out of my mouth.
Very well, and didn't have he had a 4+ ERA, but yet he won a lot of ball games.
Sure did. And really, the guy who pitches tomorrow is the modern day version of Pedro Estacio and De La Rosa.
Throw strikes, keep your team in the game, and don't panic.
Tell you what, if you'd have put Estacio, if he'd have played his whole career with the team that he started with, the Dodgers, that career ERA is probably in the 3.4s.
Right. Are you going to win an ERA title in Colorado? Chances are not happening. But could you win 25 ball games? Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's got to fall right.
Yeah.
Straley rubbing up a new baseball after bouncing that 0-2 pitch. And now trying to put Barnes away. It would be his second 1-2-3 inning. And there it is. He fans aside. Barnhart puts a period on the end of that sentence. How about Dan Straley tonight?
Nice. Nice.
Throwing a boot ball game.
Great American Ballpark this season is the Optics District. I'm Jim Day. We are high above left field in the left field corner on the view level, and it's an all-encompassing ticket. $15 will get you a general admission seat, plus they got drink rails in here. You get a Billy Hamilton t-shirt, and the first beer is on the Reds. This is a very cool area. They have a rooftop section right here where fans can just mingle around. There's a 15-foot video board that they can keep track of the game as well. And tonight is Reds social media night. So Tom Brenneman, I know you're big into Twitter. They are waiting for your arrival up here.
Yeah.
So this is the Reds social media. All the people that are interacting on Twitter about Cincinnati Reds baseball, they're all in here having a wonderful time, and finally got some good weather for it as well. This is a really cool area.
You know, it really is, Jim. I want to ask you, have you done the thing, you know, I don't think it's called virtual reality. I think it's actually gone up another level from that, where you can put on that headset up there like you're going on a roller coaster ride. Have you done that yet?
I have not done it yet, but I'm looking forward to doing it. It's one of the areas that's part of they have a gigabar in here as well. So it's all high tech, and there's Wi-Fi up here, and once again trying to attract the so-called millennials, because some people like to just come and socialize at the game, keep track of the game on the video monitors. You can also see the field from here as well, so there's many opportunities and many options up here, and pretty good price, $15 in the first beers on Cincinnati Reds.
That's a real good deal. Can't beat that. I mean, take a look. You know, you look out one way and you're looking back into the skyline of the city. You look the other way, and right down there in the upper left field corner, looking over to the Ohio River and into the rolling hills of the Commonwealth. Hello, gentlemen. I know they're having a great time on a beautiful night here at Great American Ballpark. Well, it's a borderline 3-1 pitch. It's clearly a pitcher's kind of night when you have Jim Wolf working behind the plate. But a lot of people feel like that's a good thing. Make him get up there and swing the bat.
That's what it's about.
Here's a roller to Story, who throws out Pacheco. Reds have one base runner against Jordan Lyles, who came in really pitching quite poorly through his first 2 games of the year. 13 hits, 10 earned runs, and keep in mind, He gave up 13 hits and 10 earned runs in 8 innings and has not given up a home run.
And he also has not pitched through the 5th inning yet. So until he gets to that point, the jury is out.
Joey Votto popped up on the first pitch of his at bat to the left fielder Parra. Strike one. Big shift they put on Joey, as a number of teams do in the infield. Shortstop Story over on the first base side of his second base bag.
Seven for 12 with 2 home runs against Jordan Lyles as Joey Votto.
Two balls and a strike. Waiting on deck, Brandon Phillips. Colorado scored in the 2nd inning, a single, a walk, a bunt, and a ground out. The only run of the night. Saw the setup of the catcher there, Walters, on the inside corner. That's where a lot of teams the early part of this season are really attacking Votto, but that ball missed on the complete opposite side of the plate and fouled out of play. And they got in there again and they jammed him. 2 outs. Yeah, Ferret tonight hits that Toyota sign out there in front of the power stacks in right center field. Wanda Maston from Cincinnati will win that beautiful Tundra that's displayed in left center. And hey, now listen up, you can register for your chance to win at an upcoming game. Just stop by your Cincinnati and or Northern Kentucky Toyota dealer. Two up, 2 down for Brandon Phillips. 1 over the minimum faced so far tonight by Jordan Lyles. And that's a 1-2-3 4th inning. We're off to the 5th. Lyles and Straley in a good one. Colorado in front, 1-0.
His first start as a Red, he has not backed away from this vaunted Colorado lineup at all, using both the changeup and the breaking ball. And he's located the fastball about as well as you could locate it here. Good changeup there. And look at that slider. That's how you do it. Stay aggressive, Use all your pitches and don't back off a bit.
All right, so the ladder third for Colorado here in the fifth. I don't think anybody envisioned the front 4 innings of this one with the two teams combining for 1 run and 2 base hits, but that's exactly where we stand. The Rockies a 1-0 lead. Adames down a strike. He knocked in the game's only run with runners at second and third and 1 out in the second inning at a ground ball to the shortstop Kozar.
See that fastball inside there? That's not a strike, but it's an 0-1 pitch. And what it does is it expands the entire rest of the plate for Straley to go after. Most good pitchers think 1 pitch ahead. The pitch I'm making now, I already know what I'm going to make on the following pitch.
Good fastball in there to even a count. You know, there are a lot of people that forget Straley, when he first came to the major leagues. Now, he was a 24th round draft choice. I mean, he's not like some #1 golden boy, that kind of thing, but he threw the ball so well in his first 3 years of professional baseball that he wound up in the major leagues at the end of 2012. 2-1 with the A's. Then the next year made 27 starts, won 10 games, had an ERA in the 3s pitching in the American League. But then the next year he was injured and wound up in a trade going from Oakland along with Addison Russell in exchange for Jason Hamill and Jeff Samardzija from Oakland to the Cubbies. Pitched in 7 games, 1 start in 2014. Was traded then in the Dexter Fowler deal from the Cubs to Houston, and he only pitched in 4 games all of last year at the major league level.
I think the problem that you have sometimes with young pitchers, you have an injury, something that has not happened to you before. You may lose a little bit of velocity, and all of a sudden you think, oh, what happened to me? I've got to get that velocity back. You don't have to get the velocity back overnight. What you have to do is make pitches, allow your arm to heal and continue to extend. The velocity will come back, and if it doesn't, you're still making pitches.
9th pitch of this at bat coming up against Adames, and a breaking ball is low, and that's a second walk of the night issued by Straley. Make sure to join us tomorrow night for a special offer on Reds tickets from Fox Sports Ohio. If you thought the last offer was good, just hang on, brother. This one will come out during our game tomorrow. Reds Live gets underway at 6:30. Game coverage at 7. So you get a look out at the Pilot House.
That's a sweet look right there.
And look at those houses right there along the river. Millionaires Row, I think they call it over there in northern Kentucky.
That looks like those houses, those antebellum homes down there in Natchez, Mississippi.
Took the words right out of my mouth.
Frankly, my dude.
How do you pronounce the name of that town? Natchez.
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 Natchez, Mississippi.
Mississippi.
So beautiful that they didn't burn it down.
A little hit and run and a swing and a miss by Walters, and easily gunned down by Tucker as Adames. Take that after a leadoff walk.
If you're gonna run on Barnhart, not only you better get a great jump. If you're running a hit and run, you better make contact, or you can just head on back, and that's what Adames does here. You know it's a hit and run because Adames looked back in. Most hitters or most base runners, when it's a straight steal, they don't look in.
That's in the air to right center field. Hamilton at the warning track calls it in. Just missed that one, did Walters. But you knew when it left the bat it was staying in the yard, and now the pitcher bats with 2 away and nobody on. Having said that, there were a couple of balls on that first homestand, Cowboy, when it was about 40 degrees colder than it is right now. That's not an exaggeration with a wind chill that flew out of here, and I was stunned. I don't know about you.
Yeah, the beginning of April is not, and really in some parts the entire month of April is not conducive to hitting. And you can say, well, it's cold and pitchers have a tough time getting a grip. I don't buy that for a lick. If it's cold and the wind is blowing and the way situations were in Chicago and the way they were here, that's a pitcher's best friend. The thing that you can do as a pitcher is you go back into the dugout. You can stay warm while those other guys are out there on the field. And then when they come back to the plate, you bust that ball in on their hands. That's the last thing they want to swing at. It all comes back to mentality. And if you want to play up here, you better be mentally tough.
That ball stung by the pitcher, but Hamilton will run it down. And that's all for the Rockies. 5 innings of 2-hit, 1-run baseball for Dan Straley. Sports Ohio brought to you by your local Ford dealer. Ford, go further. And by Cincinnati Children's, ranking 3rd in the country on the U.S. News Best Children's Hospitals in America. April in the OHIO continues tomorrow. Game 2. Game time 7:10. Reds Live will get you rolling a half hour at 6:30. April in the OHIO is presented by Meyer. And we always send out a special hello to those watching over at Cincinnati Children's tonight. Well, I assume that with all the handshakes going on down there, you tell me, Cowboy, is a night over? 5 innings of 2-hit, 1-run baseball? Sure looks that way.
Yeah, I think it looks that way. I think Straley was trying to plead his case to stay out there for one more inning. Outstanding job by Dan Straley, especially for someone that hasn't had a start in goodness knows how long, probably back in the middle of spring training.
Well, you're not lying. What an excellent start tonight by Straley. That's one of the better starting performances by a Reds pitcher so far this year.
And against a very offensive lineup in the Rockies.
4 strikeouts, 2 walks, 2 hits, 1 run for Straley in his 5 innings. Let's see if a team can get him a lead and give him a chance to earn a win. There's Homer Bailey back in town. Told you he threw the ball earlier today, and they feel very good about where he is. In fact, he will go to Louisville to begin his rehab, where there will be at least 3 minor league starts for Homer Bailey. There's a drive into left center field off the bat of Jay Bruce, and that's up against the wall. This might be 3 bases. Bruce digging hard. Here comes the throw by Parra, and Bruce is out at third base. A swipe tag, an unbelievable tag by the third baseman Arenado, And we talked about Parra's arm an inning ago, among the very strongest and among the most accurate in all of baseball for a long time.
I don't know about that one. That was a great throw from Parra, and probably an even better effort at the tag. But it appears that the Reds will challenge this immediately.
You know, Cowboy, it's another case in point, and we have seen numerous slides like this already this year, where you go in with a front foot.
And
the front foot never touches the bag. The back foot is naturally tucked at a 90-degree angle while you're sliding. So the only part of that trail leg, if you will, that can touch the bag is basically with your shin or your ankle. But if that front foot hits the bag, you are easily safe.
Well, what we've seen now with the institution of replay, we now know that when the front foot hits the ground, it comes up off the ground. It doesn't stay on the bag. It goes over the top of the bag. And what we have thought for so long is that that type of slide, and you can see Jay Bruce's front leg go into the air, and the only thing that the Reds can hope for here is that part of that back knee, the sliding knee, the knee on the ground, caught the bag before that outstanding tag by Nolan Arenado. Looks
so
like
the
he got his shit in there.
Back in New York taking a look at this one. And the call stands. Out at third. Call is confirmed as the official verbiage.
Well, you can't fault Jay Bruce for going for 3 there, because by the time that he rounded second, Parra had not even picked the ball up. And that's just an outstanding defensive play by the left fielder Parra, and another outstanding play by Nolan Arenado on a tag.
So the second hit by a Red tonight. The end result is an assist from the left fielder Parra. Teams have been trying to run on that fella for a number of years, whether it's with the Diamondbacks a short while with the Brewers, and now as a Rocky. And more than his fair share, Parra is right on the money with the throws. Doesn't throw them all out naturally.
Well, if Arenado has to reach for that ball any further than what he did, he can't get the tag back.
And now Arenado does it the standard way.
Both Jay Brew and Adam Duvall scald the baseball and end up with nothing.
Reds have 2 hits. Bruce, and the other belongs to this man, Tucker Barnhart. He singled into left field his first time up. Down, strike 1. 1-0 Colorado. We're in the bottom of the 5th inning. Cotham ready in the Reds bullpen to follow Straley. Boy, there's a good baseball man right there in Jim Riggleman.
No doubt about it.
Tell you what, man. You know, he had multiple times, 3 times, he had a chance to manage teams in the major leagues, and quite frankly, all 3 times. I mean, you'd have to try and win doing it with smoke and mirrors, because they were 3 bad teams. And then, of course, that final year he had a Washington Nationals team playing quite well. He felt like he had earned a contract for additional time. beyond the year he was managing. And when he didn't get it, he said, "I'm walking away." Now, in some circles, that rubs some people the wrong way. To do that in the middle of the year, Riggleman felt he did what he had to do. And the question is now, will he get another chance one day with another team? He would be more than up for the job. There's strike 3 to Barnhart. Third strikeout of the game by Lyles. We go to the 6th. Big play made by Parra to preserve a 1-0 lead.
This Sunday, take advantage and save with the Family Sunday ticket offer. Enjoy live mascot races, face painters, games, and more. Plus, thanks to College Advantage, all kids 14 and younger receive a Reds super-themed fat head. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Let's follow up on Homer Bailey, what you guys were talking about. He's back in Cincinnati, throwing today on the side. And Brian Price said that he is ready to go out on some minor league rehab stints. It could be as little as 3 stints. He'd like to see him go 4 innings, 5 innings, and then 6 innings. And all reports that they got from Goodyear, Arizona, and him throwing bullpen sessions is that he has electric stuff, the ball flying out of his hand. The velocity is good, no pain, throwing all the pitches. And it was interesting, guys. He was arriving back at Great American Ballpark last night when we got back from St. Louis. And I said, "You a bit sick of Arizona?" And he says, "You have no idea." He was there for a long time.
Well, he sure was. And now he's having a little fun at the expense of some of his teammates down there.
Yeah, Johnny Moscott.
What did you think of Moscott's outing yesterday as Caleb Cotham takes over on the mound? You can talk about him first, and then your impressions about Moscott's first start.
Well, for Moscott, I thought that he threw the ball. Thought he threw the ball well for his first time out. He was able to command the strike zone pretty well. I thought he got fatigued there at the end of the ball game. Not as much from a physical fatigue. I think it was emotional and a lot of adrenaline early in the ball game, and that kind of took its toll there when he went back out for the 6th inning.
Right back to the mound, a one-hopper from Parra to Cotham, 1 away.
Now, when we watch Caleb Cotham, he's got a good fastball. He can locate it on both sides of the plate, a breaking ball that he can throw for a strike. The biggest key for Cotham is just getting comfortable in this arena. Now, he hasn't allowed a run yet, but there have been times where things have gotten a little shaky and they've had to come out and take him out of the ball game. As he goes along, if he can start to overcome those mental hurdles, I think he has all the physical tools to be successful up here.
So here's Story, 1 of 2, is bounced to short and doubled to straightaway center field, just beyond the reach of a leaping Billy Hamilton.
Story looks to me right now, Tom, to be one of those young types of hitters that if you double up in the same area, he's going to hurt you that second time around. A good fastball hitter, susceptible to the breaking ball away, evidenced by the strikeouts, and he's got a lot of them here early.
Story, a native of Irving, Texas, where his father is a firefighter. His mom has run a nonprofit for a long time for needy folks in and around the Irving, Texas area. Swing and a miss. 2 up, 2 down for Cotham here in the 6th inning with Gonzalez coming up.
See where Barnhart is setting up. That ball was never in the strike zone. But you go back to the fastball after the 0-1 pitch that was up and in underneath the hands of Story. It allows you to really expand that outside corner.
Gonzalez is lined to third and bounced out to Brandon Phillips at second base. Strike 1.
If you're a young pitcher, Tom, the last thing that you want to do to a veteran hitter like Gonzalez is let him see a whole lot of pitches. You got to go right at it. He hasn't seen you. He doesn't know exactly what you have. You make quality pitches, you can get the out.
He went around on the appeal down to Eric Cooper. 0-2 on Gonzalez. Little number. Charging and unable to get there in time is Pacheco. Gonzalez runs well. Don't know if they would have had him. That'll be an infield hit, I would assume.
Breaking ball and hit it right off the end of the bat. A backdoor breaking ball. Outstanding pitch.
It's ruled an error.
Well, in this league, that's a play you need to make.
You know, just looking up, and by the time that ball had skimmed the edge of Pacheco's mitt, it looked like Gonzalez was only about 2 steps from the bag. But an error is an error, and so a 2-out base runner is Gonzalez, and here's Arenado, who singled, scored the only run of his game all the way back in the 2nd inning, and then Straley struck him out on a called 3rd strike in the 4th. One ball and 1 strike on the Colorado 3rd baseman. Boy, he got a pitch to hit right there. Belt high fastball at 94 and fouls it straight back to the screen.
And that goes back to what I was saying earlier with Gonzalez at the plate. Arenado's not seeing this guy. You don't know exactly where the release point is. You don't know exactly what kind of flight the ball is going to have as it comes to the plate. You can get away with pitches like that. Now, you throw that again right here, it's going to end up in the 2nd deck out there. You've got a pretty good hitter in a hole right here and a big chance to pick up your defense after the error by Pacheco. Just got to make a pitch.
Little dribbler the other way, and he beats a shift on a broken bat roller. Advancing first to third after the error is Gonzalez, and they're on the corners with 2 away.
Reds have the overshift on. Another good pitch. That ball was about an inch off the ground as Arenado made contact off the end of the bat, broke his bat. Normally that's a Brandon Phillips catch and a throw to Votto at first for the final out of the inning. And I think that's one of the reasons Mark Riggins is out to the mound right now, is to reinforce the confidence of the youngster Cotham. Hey, you've made 2 great pitches to 2 great batters. Forget about it. You only need 1 more out here. Let's tighten it up and let's get Paulson.
Do you even consider here, Cowboy? You don't technically have first base open, but you do have a base open. You talked about how good Paulson has been against right-handed pitching. Do you even consider walking him to load the bases to face Barnes, who infrequently plays?
I don't, unless he falls behind in the count. I want to make a quality pitch here, see if I can get ahead in the count. That doesn't mean you throw it right down Broadway.
Paulson has walked and struck out looking.
As I'm still counting on the element of surprise in Cotham.
Good location on that fastball in to get ahead 0-2. Now a chance to put him away.
Do not leave this pitch on the plate. Oh. Not right there. That was right down the middle.
Well, they're trying to come in, and that did not get in. But still ahead, no balls and 2 strikes. They're coming in again. And they get a swing and a miss on a breaking ball. And that will end the inning. So Cotham pitches around to error and a broken bat hit. Reds will bat in the bottom of the 6th, still trailing 1-0. Reds are very glad to return home, which is the subject of our IGS Bringing the Energy. Cowboy was so good on the home front to begin the year, winning 5 out of 6. Road trip not so good, as we know. So trying to get back on track here at 6 up, 6 down. Look at that ERA. Against the Phillies and the Pirates. That ERA ballooned really in 2 games, one in Chicago and that Friday night in St. Louis. 13 home runs allowed on that trip. That's a pile of them. But none tonight. Reds on the short end of a 1-0 game. Tyler Holt will come up and bat for Cotham, who works an inning with a pair of strikeouts, gives up 1 hit, no runs. Ground ball, shot to the right side. Adames will throw out Holt. Boy, I mean, this is night and day compared to Jordan Lyles' first 2 starts of his 2016 season. San Diego 3 1/3. Gave up 7 hits and 5 earned runs with 3 walks in the Rockies home opener. And then against the Giants, also in Denver, 4 2/3, 6 hits, 5 runs, and a no decision. Walked 2 in that game. Hamilton trying to butt his way on. And there's a 3-time Gold Glove winning third baseman Arenado. 2 away.
Arenado scoops this ball and throws all in one motion. And as he let go of the baseball, his next step was on the dirt around home plate. That's how far he had to come to get that one, and he made it easy.
Really, it's extraordinary, the flexibility in his shoulder. If you notice on that throw, that wasn't an underneath throw. That wasn't a sidearm throw. That was pick it up, wind up 3/4 throw with some gas on it. You know, the people that see the Rockies play, and, you know, they'll be the first to admit their bias. Hot smash off the glove of Story into left field. That'll be a hit for Kozai. But I mean, they will talk on and on and on, as our good friend Drew Goodman, longtime television voice of the Colorado Rockies, was talking to you and me tonight, Cowboy. I mean, they'll say by far he's the best defensive third baseman they have ever seen for anybody.
That's great praise, because there's been a lot of them out there that were awfully good.
Third hit of the night for the Reds. Here's Pacheco. He's grounded to third and hit a roller to short. 0 for 2. That ball drilled down in the corner, and here we go. We're off to the races. Cozart on his way to third. Are they going to wave him around? No. Parra gets it back, and now the ball gets away. And the Reds will score the tying run. That'll be a double by Pacheco, no RBI. And the error will either be on Parra or the shortstop Story.
Hanging breaking ball, and Pacheco crushes it. I thought Parra got to the ball quickly. Turns, looks like he makes a pretty good throw. Nope, it was a short hop, and Story just couldn't handle it.
So now the Rockies are going to intentionally walk Joey Votto with the go-ahead run out at second base. Indeed, it is a double, and as we suspected, the official scoring decision by longtime great Moeller head coach Mike Cameron is error on the left fielder Parra, throwing error, allowing the runner to score from third. This is only the second intentional walk all year for Joey Votto. It's only the 7th walk overall this season for Votto, which places him outside of the top 14 in the league. So now Brandon with a chance to give the Reds their first lead of the night. They've tied the game at 1 here in the last of the 6th inning. Pacheco the go-ahead run at second, Votto at first. And a bouncing ball to short, and that's all she wrote. Reds tie the game on the miscue by Parra. 1-1 we go to the 7th.
Fox Sports Ohio. And what do you do on your 25th birthday if you're Anthony DeSclafani? Well, of course, you throw to live hitters for the first time. Coming back from an oblique injury, DeSclafani today threw 40 pitches. Getting some live hitting, which is a good sign. Talked to him afterwards, and he reported everything A-OK.
Was mixing it up, quite a bit, and I was happy with the way everything was breaking and moving, and command's going to come as I pitch and get into games and get more repetition.
And as always, they will check on him tomorrow. If he came through it okay and feels good tomorrow, he indeed will be on a rehab stint as well. It'll be a minimum of 2 minor league starts for Anthony DeSclafani. So DeSclafani, Homer Bailey, John Lamb getting closer and closer.
Boy, it has a nice sound to it. There's no doubt about that. Get some of these guys the Reds are so high on and expecting so much looking to the future. Starting here in 2016 and of course beyond. Reds go to their bullpen now. They bring on the guy who suffered the loss in the game yesterday. And that's right-hander Ross Ollendorf. Pulled foul.
And speaking of all these guys that you have coming back from the disabled lists going into the starting rotation, you have to wonder what kind of moves the Reds will make as far as taking guys out of the starting rotation and where they will end up. Will they end up in the bullpen? Will they end up in AAA?
It's a very, very good point, Cowboy, and a good question. One other change for the Reds, by the way, replacing Pacheco at third is De Jesus, so that means he will bat in the number 8 spot, which is due up 4th when the Reds hit in the last of the 7th. 1 run, 3 hits, an error, 4 left for Colorado. 1 run, 4 hits, an error, 3 left for the Reds. We are in the top of the 7th inning at Great American Ballpark. Check swing and a best bottom fell out of that pitch, and that's all for Barnes. Ollendorf said after the game yesterday he thought he had great stuff, but the bottom line is he walked the first batter of the game before he gave up the double. that drove in the go-ahead run.
But there are many times when you come out of the bullpen and your arm feels so good because you haven't pitched in 2 days. You feel great life. The breaking ball's really coming out. And those are the times that you don't quite concentrate to the max. The times that you concentrate the most coming out of the bullpen is when you pitch 3 days in a row and you know you can't make a mistake. You got to make sure that you get the ball down and away.
Adames, a batter, Walters to follow. 6, 7, 8 in the Colorado batting order. Straight up in the air, jammed in with a fastball. And Jay Bruce waits. 2 out. Wednesday night on an all-new Reds Weekly. Back from a devastating knee injury. Here why Zach Cozart's hitting on all cylinders. Doug Flynn goes one-on-one with his old teammate and longtime buddy Don Gullett. Join Jeff Pecoro, Doug Flynn, Wednesday 6. Always a great show. Reds Weekly right here on Fox Sports Ohio. So 2 down for the number 8 hitter, the catcher Walters, who's grounded to Votto and flied out to center field. Strike 1 on the inside corner.
You know, Tom, if you're manager Brian Price and you bring guys out of your bullpen, you've got an idea about where you want guys to slot in. You're wanting Oldendorf to face the bottom of the order here and maybe bring up Cingrani to face the lefties when they come to the plate. But when you don't do your job out of the bullpen, it throws things haywire. When you're walking guys, all of a sudden this doesn't quite slot out the way that you had it planned. That's where the walks not only kill you, but they kill the team.
That was a nasty changeup there by Oldendorf. He had Walters way out in front. And now the 0-2 coming. Threw it again.
He hit that ball twice. Hit it right on top of the plate, and then it hit his bat on the follow through. You could see Barnhart tap the dirt. He didn't quite get it there. Hit it off the fat part of the bat and then the knob.
Oh, and 2 the count again on Walters. Zoom ball at 94.
Trying to get him to chase that high hard.
Yeah.
And maybe want to bring it down a little bit.
Shaquille O'Neal couldn't have reached that pitch. Strike 3 called. 95 on the inside corner. An excellent 7th inning for Oldendorf. So they stand and stretch. Reds bat last of the 7th inning in a 1-1 game. Fireworks Fridays is always here at the ballpark, including this Friday. You can see the Reds and the Cubs for as low as $12. Then the great fireworks show after the game, thanks to Thomas More College. For tickets, call 381-REDS or visit Reds.com. See, now that's where Dad he can't miss that moment right there. When your little gal wants to dance cowboy, you know this. No, Mom, I'm taking this dance. Right?
Exactly right.
That's the furthest thing from those three guys' minds. Jay Bruce to start things against Lyles, who has thrown one heck of a ball game tonight. Were it not for a throwing error on the relay throw from Parra to the shortstop Trevor Story, the Reds don't score that tying run in the 6th inning. But it happened. They did, and we're at 1-1. Bruce, Duvall, Barnhart, and then De Jesus. Should we go any further? Jay in the game has struck out, and then he doubled off the left center field wall to begin the 5th. Tried to turn it into 3 bases, and Parra threw him out. Had a good swing there and fouled it off 2-2. Interesting series beginning where the Reds just left yesterday. Cubs and the Cardinals getting together for the first time this season. And the one-time Red Mike Leake on the mound for St. Louis against the Cardinal turned Cub John Lackey. Lackey had a great year last year with St. Louis. Bruce gone on strikes, hits 4 of them in the game for Lyles, 1 out in the 7th. Lyles only the 2nd starting pitcher to go into the 7th inning here at Great American Ballpark this year. Aaron Nola the other. He went 7 strong innings in game 2 of the season. A game 1, of course, late by the Reds against the Philadelphia bullpen. And obviously there's been good pitching in this ballpark this year. I mean, the Reds ERA is 2.67, but they haven't had a starter pitch deep into a game yet. They're hoping that'll change tomorrow night. And a little nubber handled by Story, 2 out. Well, after every single game, we have Reds Live, the post-game version, brought to you by Performance Kings Honda. We'll break it all down. So standing by will be Jim Day, Jeff Pecoro, Jeff Brantley and company. Off the end of the bat, short left, inning over. Reds gone 1-2-3. End of 7. Reds 1, Rockies 1. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Honda game summary. Rockies got on the board, a single, a walk, a sacrifice bunt, and a ground out. What an outstanding effort tonight, Cowboy, by Dan Straley.
Really thought he threw the ball well, Tom. You look at the way that things were coming into this. No starts, seemingly about 3 weeks. You were hoping you could get 4 or 5 out of it, but you got 5 strong innings, and he probably could have gone back out for a 6th.
Reds scored their run on a double by Pacheco. Kozar was being held at third by Billy Hatcher, but the relay throw appeared to short hop in front of Story. Looked like it hit him in the shin.
Well,
into foul ground.
What you're supposed to do as a shortstop when you have that tandem relay, if the ball is going to short hop you, you let it go so that the second baseman can get to the baseball. Story played it. He played it off of his shin, cost him a run.
Ollendorf back for his second inning, very sharp in a 1-2-3-7. So here we are in the 8th. Ryan Rayburn signed very late in spring training. In fact, they signed him the day the Reds played the Rockies in spring training out in Arizona. What an effort tonight by Jordan Lyles. 7 outstanding innings. A 4-hit, 1-run, an unearned run. Baseball tonight. He pitched almost as many innings tonight as he did his first 2 starts combined. First 2 games he worked 8 innings, allowed 13 hits and 10 runs. Fan 4 walked only 1, and that was an intentional walk of Votto in a 6th. No action in the Reds bullpen. You have a right-handed batter here. Parra is a left-handed batter. Story a right-handed batter. Gonzalez a left-handed batter.
Well, you look at most of the big league lineups now, Tom, you don't really have 2 or 3 lefties in a row or 3 or 4 righties in a row. It's left, right, left, right, left, right. That's managers do that to take advantage of the bullpen or make a manager go and use extra guys in his bullpen when it gets down to crunch time.
If you're wondering about Tony Cingrani, he has thrown single innings as Ollendorf fans Rayburn on that 95-mile-per-hour fastball up around the eyes. 4 batters, 3 strikeouts for Ollendorf. Cingrani pitched a perfect 8th inning in the 1-run win on Saturday night. He threw a total of 14 pitches in a scoreless inning with a walk yesterday. And no sign of the left-hander getting loose. Ollendorf a strike throwing machine so far here tonight. 15 strikes of his 18 pitches. The veteran right-hander Chad Qualls, boy, he has been around forever. Here's another strike machine.
I can remember when he broke in with the Houston Astros. Yeah. Nasty sinker and split finger to go with it. Sometimes Ollendorf, as he rocks back, it looks like he's going to fall back off the mound towards Brandon Phillips. He really takes a big step back, sliding that right foot back and forth across the top of the rubber.
It's like recoil.
It's almost like he's getting a little crow hop as he comes to the plate. Kind of like Carter Capps. That little hop, step, and jump.
Or Jordan Walden.
Yes. Both, of course, disabled at the moment.
Yep.
It's all fine and good till that elbow blows out.
Bobby, he is rearing back and firing here tonight. 2-2 on Parra.
Rollendorf tries to get hitters to chase that high fastball and then drops that breaking ball back down in the low area.
Three and two on Parra. I mean, you got the big hitters coming up next. One out in the inning. Ohlendorf a big deep breath, and now Parra wants timeout. Got him swinging on another fastball at 95.
There is nothing from a catcher that gets you more fired up. You see that fist bump from Barnhart. I'm with you. We're with you. Bring it to me, big boy. And he does it.
All right, here you go. The young man who made national headlines the first week of his major league career, Trevor Story. And that ball is driven into deep right center field, and that's how he made his headlines.
Not sure I like that pitch selection right there. Not to this kid. He's shown the whole league that he can hit a fastball, especially out over the plate. And the youngster is thinking game-winning homer or be a hero here, and he's sitting dead red, and you could tell by the way he swung at that one.
Yep. Base hit center field by Gonzalez. This Colorado team can hit that fastball.
And as you get later into the ball game, those are things that you have to understand. Okay, this guy is a very good fastball hitter, even though that may not be your strength throwing the breaking ball there. But what you're trying to do is give some semblance of doubt to the hitter by throwing the breaking ball and get him off that fastball just a little bit to take away some of the aggressiveness. Every one of those hitters that are power guys coming up to the plate late in the ball game, they're thinking hero. They're thinking long ball.
Sure.
Let me see if I can jump on that first one, ambush that fastball, and that's exactly what Story did there.
Trevor Story, what an unbelievable story he continues to be. You know, you mentioned earlier he's really cooled off here over the last 4 or 5 days. First player since 1900 whose first 4 hits in the major leagues were home runs. Also the first player in league history to hit 7 home runs over his first 6 major league games. The first player, rookie or not, to hit 7 home runs in the first 6 games of a season.
And as soon as that happened, the projections start flying.
Sure they do.
Because guys that have done that in the past, whether they're veterans or rookies, that's when you start talking about 50 home runs. And you've got a kid that's just breaking into the big leagues, and already you're talking about him hitting 50 home runs.
Well, he's become a first in another category now. He's the first player ever to hit 8 home runs in his first 13 games as a major leaguer. 1 in, 1 on, 2 out. And that one bounces up there to Arenado. 2 balls and no strikes. Jumbo Diaz throws in the bullpen for the Reds.
Well, the more times the opposition sees Trevor Story jumping on that first pitch fastball, they're going to start making him learn how to hit the breaking ball and the changeup. You know, you look at Story's swing, he's got a little Tulowitzki to that.
He
swing.
does.
He's got that little standing tall and that little crouch at the end. Really uses his legs well. And I know he's been to the Tulo camp a couple of years.
Yep. Worked out with him in Las Vegas, right?
2 years in a row.
Yep.
You can see him really load up on that backside, almost in doesn't squat, but just really gets to his legs, and that's really where the power comes from. Well, that bullpen can be such a feast or famine outing. Tremendous start by Ohlendorf, and with 1 pitch, the tide has turned. Striking out 4 of the first 5 batters he faces.
Three balls and 2 strikes on Arenado. Runner at first is Gonzalez. Runner goes, and it's ball 4. Ryan Price pacing around, getting closer to those dugout steps, and up he comes. Things started so well for Ohlendorf. Retired the first 5, striking out 4 of the 5, and on a first pitch fastball to Trevor Story, he launches one out by the power stacks in right center field. That's followed by a single from Gonzalez, a walk to Arenado. This will be our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. Out goes Ohlendorf, in comes Diaz. 2-1 Rockies in front.
transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Jumbo Diaz comes out with runners at first and second base. Diaz coming on for the 8th time. 6 1/3 innings, as you see there. 7 hits. Diaz, they need 1 out from Diaz and give the Reds a chance to get back into the dugout and start back to work offensively.
A scoring decision, by the way, was changed from earlier. Remember, we thought it might be an infield hit by Carlos Gonzalez. It was initially schooled an error, and it's been changed to a base hit. So the Rockies now have 6 hits. Gonzalez has 2 of them. And that'll be a second hit charge to Caleb Cotham, but no runs allowed. 2-1 Colorado. Oladorf goes an inning and 2/3. He strikes out 4. Walks about it. Allows 2 hits and so far 1 run. Jumbo trying to bail him out in the 8th. This ball is lined into deep center field, and that one will find the lawn. A 3-run home run off the bat of Paulson. And it is a 4-run Colorado 8th inning. This Napa 1-1 tie.
That is now the 3rd home run that Diaz has given up. He shakes the pitch off. Barnhart was setting away, and he throws it down and in. That is deadly to a left-hander, especially sitting on a fastball. Can't miss that far across the plate.
It's a sharp ground ball to Brandon, who will throw out Barnes to end the inning. Colorado hits a pair of home runs, coming up with 4 total. Reds will bat trailing by 4. For 25,000 fans in attendance this Saturday receive a Votomatic Super bobblehead, and you can see the Reds and the Cubs for as low as $12. Call 513-381-REDS or visit Reds.com today. Got to go all the way back to 2004. The first season Chad Qualls broke into the major leagues with the Astros. What a great run he had in a short amount of time. 04 pitched in the division series, a league championship series. 05 pitched in the Division Series, League Championship Series, and the World Series. Got some huge outs in those back-to-back LCS games against the St. Louis Cardinals.
So this bullpen for the Rockies has been their Achilles heel. Qualls has not helped them a whole lot. But when your starter goes 7, that bullpen's only suspect for a couple of innings.
DeJesus bats for the first time since he came on defensively in the top of the 7th inning. And it's in there, a strike. A swing and a miss, and it gets away from the catcher, and reaching safely is DeJesus to begin this bottom of the 8th inning, down 4.
Breaking ball into the dirt, and Walters tried to get down to stop it, and it went right between his legs. Can't get them all back with one swing of the bat. You just got to chip away. Try to get some momentum going back in your direction offensively for the Reds.
Well, you'll take a break however you can get it.
You got that right.
And so it's Billy Hamilton 0 for 2. A ground ball to short. Tried to bunt his way on his last time up. And Arenado threw him out. With Arenado covering the left side of the infield, if you're going to bunt, you probably have to bring it along with you, meaning up the first base line.
Well, I think that's where Hamilton should bunt the majority of the time anyway.
One to Billy Hamilton. And now 2 balls and a strike.
Get your 8 and 9 guys aboard. Really start to create a little bit of hope in that Reds dugout.
2-2. Bouncing ball. Story backs up on it. They'll get one, and that's all. So Hamilton at first, 1 out here in the last of the 8th inning after the Rockies score 4 in the top of the inning. And we roll over to the leadoff spot in Zach Cozart, 1 of 3 in the game, singled and scored the only Reds run in the 6th inning.
Amazingly, Cozart now has hit in every game he's played in. A 9-game hitting streak.
First, he missed a couple of games in Chicago on the just completed road trip. There's a fly ball to Gonzalez, 2 out. It's more than a badge. It's your pass to kick off the summer. Don't miss the Memorial Tournament presented by Nationwide, May the 30th through June the 5th. Purchase your badge at memorialbadges.com. Boy, Mark Miser and all the boys up there at Columbus are gearing up to put together another great tournament in honor, of course, of one of the all-time great native Buckeyes who started that tournament, the Golden Bear himself, Jack Nicklaus. And in the town where Nicklaus grew up, Upper Arlington, Ohio, this summer at the Scioto Country Club is where they are playing the Senior U.S. Open Championship this year. And that'll be televised on Fox. Left-hander Boone Logan's been getting ready in the bullpen, and he'll come on to pitch when we return. Ohio brought to you by T-Mobile. Get major league coverage. T-Mobile has doubled its 4G LTE in the last year. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Right along the banks downtown. Right next to the ballpark. What a job they have done and continue to do. General Electric getting ready to open up shop in their aviation right along the banks. Veteran left-hander, not quite as long in the big leagues as Chad Qualls, but Boone Logan's been around a while. Scott Schebler was announced as the pinch hitter, thus the entrance of the southpaw.
And Schebler handles left-handed pitching pretty well. At some points in his career, he's hit left-handers better than right-handers.
Mark Reynolds, part of a double switch, will take over at first base. And I would assume it's safe to say he'll bat in the ninth spot. Cubs lead the Cardinals that game in the top of the 6th inning, 1-0. Nationals being cooled off tonight, trailing the Marlins 6-1. Swing and a miss, ball gets away from the catcher, and the inning is over. Reds got 4 outs in that inning. We go to the 9th. 5-1 Colorado. Minutes before the start of every game. Reds Live, we call it, on Fox Sports Ohio. It's brought to you by Ray St. Clair Roofing, and will be coming your way tomorrow night, 6:30 for Reds baseball, and we invite you to tune in. Game coverage gets underway. Cowboy will be back up here tomorrow night.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. And Jorge De La Rosa on the mound for Colorado. Alfredo will toe the rubber for the Reds, making his 3rd start, trying to right the ship. Threw a really good game his first start of the year. Had a blown save behind him against the Pirates. But then an ugly night in Chicago and 1 inning out of the bullpen on Friday night.
And speaking of righting the ship, the Reds would really like to get J.J. Hoover going back in a confident direction.
J.J. got the save on Saturday, but he allowed 2 runs. Broken bat. Phillips will throw out Adames to begin the inning.
Yeah, and it was on a 2-run home run, and sometimes when things aren't going quite your way and you're the guy that's at the back end of the bullpen, you don't care how you get 3 outs in a row. You just want to have a ball game where you get 3 outs in a row and you can actually take a deep breath and say, all right, I'm okay. I'm going to be all right.
Here's Walters. He struck out against Ohlendorf his last time, up 0 for 3 in the game. Straley pitched beautifully here tonight. 5 innings as a starter. First start as a Red, 2 hits, 1 run. Cotham behind him, a shutout inning with a couple of strikeouts. Ohlendorf was on quite a roll, retired the first 5, striking out 4. Gave up a home run to Story, which broke a 1-1 tie in the 8th. A single and a walk later, in came Jumbo Diaz. He gave up a home run to Paulson, a 4-run 8th. And that's a lead here in the top of the 9th with 1 out. Crowd hoping for an 11th strikeout so they can get a free pizza. That's Amare.
I don't care what they're cheering for when you're on the mound and you get a strikeout and you get an ovation like that. All that does is just get that heart going a little bit better.
Reynolds bats for the first time. For a long time there in Arizona, this guy was one of the premier sluggers. I mean, Adam Dunn, if you will, on the western part of America. Not quite as many home runs in his career as Dunn, but a lot like Adam. Hits some 8.5 miles, and he does a lot of that as well, like Adam would do, swing and miss. Reynolds has not had nearly as good a career as Dunn had. Two and two the count on Mark Reynolds. Two down, nobody on. Strike three called, and that'll end the inning. A good inning by JJ. Nice bounce back for him. So the Reds bat the last of the ninth. Votto, Phillips, Bruce coming up, down 4. To Great American Ballpark. Now remember, on that season opening homestand, the Reds went 5-1. 3 of those games they won in their final at bat. The first 2 games of the year, and then the final game when they beat the Pirates 2-1 on that double by Jay Bruce, scoring Brandon Phillips. Now certainly a tall order here when you're down by 4.
But you're still within slam reach.
Yep.
But you just got to get some guys aboard. See if you can get the ball rolling a little bit. Put a little pressure on the Rockies.
Boone Logan will stay in the game. He struck out the pinch hitter Scott Schebler, stranding a runner in the 8th. So this is not a safe situation for Logan. Now Well, had he entered the game, and many of you know this, but some may not, had he entered the game with 2 on and a 4-run lead, struck the last guy out, if he completed this inning and finished the game, it would be a save, because when he came in the game, the potential tying run was standing in the on-deck circle. But when he came in, it was a 4-run game, only 1 on, so the potential tying run would have been in the hole. Three balls and a strike on Votto, leading off the bottom of the 9th. Joey 0 for 2 has been intentionally walked.
Almost appeared on that pitch that Votto was trying to shoot it through that hole on the left side of the infield. That's a tall order on a 3-2 pitch, but that's what it appeared.
Joey trying to get aboard to begin this Cincinnati bottom of the 9th inning. Hard hit ball, but right into the shift. 1 out. Phillips is 0 for 3. Fly to right, grounded to short, stranded 2 in the 6th inning.
He swung at the first pitch every time tonight, right?
And that was a big one there in the 6th inning. The Reds had just scored to tie the game. They had runners at first and second, and Phillips tapped out to the shortstop into a fielder's choice to end the threat. Jay Bruce next. Just outstanding pitching tonight. No 2 ways about it for Colorado. Lyles was brilliant. 7 innings, 4 hits, 1 run. It was unearned. Walls 2/3 of an inning. And Logan is phase 2, retired 2. Colorado's pitching really did a number on the red-hot hitting Chicago Cubs over the weekend, and they have brought that red-hot pitching right here to Cincinnati. Swinging a foul ball back.
Yeah, and if you're Boone Logan here, you've got yourself a 4-run lead. The last thing that you want to do is walk about it. Just try to make the Reds hit your pitch and continue to pound that strike zone.
Brandon helped him a little bit right there. That ball was well out of the strike zone. Tonight was the 4th time in the last 5 games a Rockies starter has posted a quality start, and that earned run average is barely over 1. With opponents hitting 125 over the last, well, 4 of their last 5. Baseball is a funny game, man. You know, they start the year against Arizona. They beat them 2 out of 3. The San Diego Padres were shut out their first 3 games of the year, and they were coming to Denver, having not scored a single run. They proceeded to score 29 runs in the next 2 days against Colorado. But ever since then, by and large, outside of a poor start from Lyles, it's been a pretty good run for Colorado the early part of this year. Beat the Giants 2 out of 3. Just beat the Cubs 2 out of 3.
It's a great part about baseball. Anybody can beat anybody on any given day.
Brandon hooks one into left. Caught by the former Gold Glove winning left fielder Parra. And the Reds are down to their final out.
That was a pitch there from Boone Logan. Last thing he wanted to do was throw the ball out of the strike zone. He just barreled it right down the middle of the plate. Phillips hit it right on the screws. Be surprised. You can throw the ball down in the middle of the plate more times than not. You're going to get some outs. For young pitchers, I love for young pitchers to watch batting practice. Guys throwing about 60 miles an hour. Ground ball to short, ground ball to second, pop up. Not every ball's going out of the ballpark. It's not that easy to hit.
Well, they say it's by far the hardest thing to do in professional sports. They hit a ball coming at you, 85 to 100 miles an hour from 60 feet 6 inches. And 2 on Jay Bruce. Reds down to their final strike, perhaps. Certainly down to their final out. This one of only 5 games in the National League tonight. Cubs now have opened up their lead over Mike Leake and the Cardinals. 4-0. Chicago batting in the 7th inning.
Just about every time now when Jay Bruce gets 2 strikes, chokes up about 1.5 inches on that bat. Trying to improve his bat control.
Looked like he went around. He did, and that's the old ball game. Logan retires all 4 batters he faces with a couple of strikeouts. And the Reds lose the opener. Colorado coming up with a 4-run top half of the 8th inning to break a 1-1 tie and a 5-1 win. Lyles the winner, Ohlendorf a loser. Our Volkswagen drive of the game, a 3-run blast to take it from 2-1 to 5-1 off the bat of Paulson. Reds Live coming up next. 5-1 Rockies win it. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.